It is NHL All-Star Weekend up in the 6th. That is Toronto. We are at the All-Star break in the National Hockey League. We get you set for everything you need to know for All-Star Weekend and where the NHL sits here at the break as well. We do that not with myself or Donnie Rightside. Kasey Hudson joins us here on this Friday on the early line with the ice advice. Kasey, thank you so much for taking the time bright and early on this Friday to join us here on SportsGrid.
Of course. I always love chatting with you guys, and most importantly, we know how much I love to talk about hockey.
We are very glad to have you here to do just that. So here we are at the All-Star break. We look big picture first and foremost, and the odds to hoist Lord Stanley's Cup high up into the air at the end of this NHL season. Right now, the Avalanche, the favorites, at 8-1, but just 50 cents in front of the hottest team in hockey, the Edmonton Oilers, plus 850. Bruins and the Panthers, plus 950. And the Carolina Hurricanes, a 10-1 number. Those are the 5 best prices to win the Stanley Cup this season. So, Kasey, at the All-Star break for the NHL, what's your assessment of where the league stands overall?
Most important, it's the fact that you can never overreact in hockey. We saw some interesting things through the first 8 weeks of the season, and most of that translates to the halfway point now. The New York Rangers are one of the hottest teams to watch, and they started facing injuries, and then Shesterkin kind of lost his game a little bit. Thank God for nothing. Then you've got the Colorado Avalanche. Last time I chatted with you two, I was mentioning the fact that I don't really trust this team. Their D zone wasn't looking good. They were letting a lot of pucks in there. It's still kind of facing some of that wonkiness, sitting at a 3.1 goals against average, but Nathan McKinnon is making a strong case for his team, the same way Mikko in season. So it's a nice little tango going on so far. Most importantly, the Edmonton Oilers are back in contention, but it's the Florida Panthers and the Canucks that I would watch very closely, including the Vegas Golden Knights, if they can get healthy in the nick of time.
The more things change, the more things we stay the same. In that Eastern Conference, the Boston Bruins leading the way with 71 points here as the top shelf team. If we go down a little bit on that list here for us, Kasey, give us some teams to watch that maybe we're saying even outside of the playoff race right now that could surprise and maybe make a run for us.
Well, the team closest eye on right now is the Florida Panthers. They're just kind of majestically forming themselves in the same way they did last season. In the beginning of the season, you make that back-to-back run, they're doing exactly that. They're getting those points up. They're still outworking their opponents. Their physicality is still there and healthy. So they're a team to definitely keep an eye on. They're the biggest aggressor, in my opinion, in the NHL. I know it kind of sounds like stats for the Canucks, but they just made a major move before the trade deadline, weeks before the trade deadline, adding Lindholm to the lineup. He's a great two-way player somewhere that they need to increase their edge, as well as in the face-off circle. You win in the circle, you maintain puck possession, then you're putting yourself in a lead map. But somebody else to keep an eye on is the Carolina Hurricanes. Some people might not think this, but Anderson's going to be coming back soon. They're not having too much more. It's keeping pucks out of their net, which can be a painful theme heading into the second swing of the season. So they get goaltending locked down. Svechnikov back, and he's got a lot of time to make up for it. There's somebody that can sneak in contention there. So I like the Panthers, I like the Hurricanes, but I'm a big fan of the Canucks. I think we're going to finally see a Canada team represent Canada again since the Montreal Canadiens a few years ago.
Waiting to see a Canadian team in the Stanley Cup final. Some technical difficulties. We'll have Kasey back here in just a moment. But as she was sharing, one of the main storylines of this season on the ice has been the Edmonton Oilers, off to a dismal start. Connor McDavid was injured. We expected so much more out of Edmonton early on than what they were showing. Well, the Oilers enter the All-Star break winners of 16 straight games. That is the second longest win streak in the history of the National Hockey League. Edmonton is one victory away from matching the longest ever win streak in NHL history. So, Kasey, how would you describe the season the Oilers have played so far?
I'd say I thought the Bolts were having an emotional roller coaster of a season, but it's definitely the Oilers. We didn't foresee them on track, but I talked with Greg Wyshynski a couple of weeks ago, and he pointed out something very crucial. Connor McDavid hasn't been his healthiest. So now we're seeing it to the side of some nagging injuries that he has been dealing with. A healthy McDavid helps continue to lead this team, where Draisaitl stepped up tremendously. They've weak points, which is the biggest thing here. Their penalty kill coming together, their goaltending. Stuart Skinner is finally standing on his head for this team. Their zone. So them being one of the most formidable teams when it comes to special teams, I think we're going to actually see them finally make a run. The new coaching has helped a lot. He's new kind of today approach, and the players are very responsive to it. Then they add Corey Perry. Great playoff experience. Absolute. He comes through and playoff pushes. I know that personally from the Tampa Bay Lightning. So they've set them up very well to get back in this run.
Kasey, we take a look here at the MVP odds. Most teams have played about 50 games here coming up on the All-Star break. Nathan MacKinnon minus 135, Kucherov plus 300, and there is McDavid at a plus 430 price. If we're asking you to hand in your vote today, who is going to get that Hart Memorial Trophy MVP vote?
It's going to sound biased. It's Nikita Kucherov all day. You're thinking most valuable player. You're thinking about the guy. They can get you over the line. You're thinking you can put the entire reliability on this guy's shoulders, and it's Kucherov. When you're looking at the stats, Nathan MacKinnon sitting top 20 in the league right now who can be supporting roles for his success. Nikita Kucherov doesn't have a guy until you get almost right out of that when it comes to Braden Point and then Steven Stamkos and Victor Hedman. So Nikita Kucherov has been a pillar for this team. If it wasn't for his points, the Bulls would look entirely different standings as of right now. Not to take away from every other player, but it's Nikita Kucherov's hockey IQ. It's his passing precision. It's his ability to set up the defense in his game and shooting more than we've almost ever seen since he joined the league. It's Nikita Kucherov hands down for me.
Kasey, we appreciate the time. Thank you for finding us some plus money for the Hart Memorial Trophy, the MVP award in the NHL. We will see you in Las Vegas 1 week from today, getting things ready for Super Bowl 58. Look forward to seeing you out there in the desert. We appreciate the time as always. So as we look at a couple of other award markets in the NHL, as we get ready for All-Star Weekend in the National Hockey League, of course, all good, Kasey. All good. That's why we'll be in person next week in Las Vegas. You can't trust Wi-Fi nowadays. But as we look at a couple other award markets in the NHL, of course, Donnie, one of the storylines this year, if Victor Wembanyama was the number one pick that was promised in the NBA, same story for the Blackhawks in the NHL, Connor Bedard. But we have not seen him since January 5th, a fractured jaw. So far, though, it looks like he has lived up to the hype. 15 goals for Chicago, 18 assists in 39 games played. And despite the fact he has not played now in nearly a month, DRS, he is still booked as the favorite to win the Calder Trophy. That is the Rookie of the Year in the NHL. Nearly a $2 odds-on favorite as well at minus 190.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, too, because, again, if you do compete or compare it, I should say, to other sports, if you miss an extended period of time, usually you drop like a rock. It would have been crazy to say he was the favorite to win this award, gets injured, drops back to 5 or 6 to 1, and say, okay, well, do you want to bet on him if he comes back? But he's still holding strong as close to a $2 favorite at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Yeah. That tells you how good he is and how far and away the best rookie he actually is. To hold this lead by being out over a month, that's pretty good.
Listen, there are some astute handicappers on this network that have a minus 125 number on Connor Bedard to win the Calder Trophy. And that astute handicapper, who has been seeing the future very, very clearly in those future markets, is hoping he remains the odds-on favorite. Donnie, let's get a pick for All-Star Weekend. Who wins the All-Star Saturday night? Team Matthews, Team Hughes, Team MacKinnon, Team McDavid?
Well, the last name I heard was McDavid, so we'll go with that there. How's that for a pick?
What was the second name I said?
No, I don't know. I was hoping Cal McCarr came in there somewhere.
Jack Hughes. Come on. Give me Team Hughes plus 265.